Okay, what's up, stream? Welcome to the Spinal Tap lesson. Today, we're going to learn about prophylactics. Always wear a helmet before you go to battle. Well, actually, chest prophylactics, my bad. So, I'm going to start with an anonymous game here. Oops, I got the first move wrong. Already we're off to a good start. Let me just fix my windows a little bit. Okay, so what is going on here already? What does white do, guys? The mic is weird. It might just be how I sound. Yep, we got a double fiend shadow. So how does white deal with this c5 move? Popeye dude says d5. B3. Maybe. B3. Okay. Well, the first move that comes to my head is d5. Just block the bishop, take space in the center. But that's not it. Because unfortunately, when you take space, you always gotta make sure black can't undermine it. So in this case, we can't keep it because black's gonna play e6, and say we play knight c3, black's gonna take, and play b5. So suddenly he has like a good version of a Benoni because he got b5 in without any problems, and he's already threatening b4 and just taking the d pawn. So yeah, already black's probably better here because d5 is weak. And we don't want to just take because that kind of defeats the whole point of playing d5. So e3, a little passive though. I think black could just kind of develop and play d5 at some point. Or takes first, play d5, leave white with sort of an isolated pawn. Really has no problems there. If b3, we could just take. But b3 is okay, I think. Do have to be a little careful about this diagonal, but it looks like he'll be fine. Because, like knight here, white could just play queen back. So yeah, d3 is probably alright. I'd imagine something like this would happen. Yeah, maybe white could hope to be a little better here. He has a space edge. It's kind of going to be hard for black to play d5 because there's always these issues. You block this bishop. And maybe white could just take. But maybe black could equalize. But it's definitely a move. So white castles. And kind of the idea is on takes, white's going to take with the knight. And this is also fine for black though, so I think black should have took and played d5 here. It seems like the most natural. So really, in all these structures, black plays d5 and liquidates the center, and it's just very symmetrical, very equal. But instead here, and he kind of takes a more Nimzo Indian type approach. So he's saying, okay, I'm gonna stick my bishop on e4. So now if you try to block me, it won't matter because my bishop's outside the chain. Also, I can't play d5 right away because c3 hangs. So a bit annoying. It's kind of hard to see how white's gonna get any advantage here too. Pretty much forced to take, I think. Like there's just too much pressure here. Like I guess he could maybe play something like this. But then just takes and double the pawns. Probably don't have a whole lot for it because you still can't play e4 and get a big center. So Karpov, oops, my bad. I gave away one of the people already. So Karpov takes. Timon takes. And what now, guys? So, I'm gonna be asking this question a whole bunch more. What's black's threat here? Not like a tactical threat, but positional. go.
Uh-oh. Submarine mode. Thanks, Spinal got knocked off. Sorry, guys. I'll try to reconnect him in a second. Um, Alright, so yeah, let's think about a little about the position. So, yeah, what's Black's positional idea here? Not so much tactical, but... So how many guys are on this pawn? We got the pawn on c5 and the bishop on d4. We have two defenders, the knight and the queen. But, is there a way that Black could put more pressure on this pawn? On d4? And if so, how? Okay, SpinalTap's alive, guys. No fear. Alright, so let me get Spinal back on the call so he can elucidate us further as to what's going on.
Hello.
Hey.
Sorry about that.
No problem, no problem. I was entertained while you were
Sounds
reconnecting.
good.
Do you want to examine me so I can keep the board in case it happens again?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna do that.
Okay. Okay. I'll let you get back to it.
Sounds good. So I probably missed all the responses, but Black's threatening to just kind of take here and liquidate everything and have equality. So say, I don't know, random move, takes, knight here. So, I mean, I don't know, imagine something like takes. Totally equal. In fact, Black's probably a little better because this bishop is better than this bishop. So we definitely don't want that for white. We don't want to take either and just give him the center, where again Black's probably better. This bishop better than this bishop. This bishop is fine against this bishop, and the knight's just gonna come to c3. Black will be pretty happy there. So we gotta kind of prevent all this from happening and play d5. Which Black pretty much expected. That's why he played the knight e4 move. The castles. So now what for white? Okay, just refreshing the chat so I can hear you guys. There we go. And H4 and G5. Okay. So either one of those. So say knight G4 takes and D6. So I guess the idea is to play E4, get a big center, and have some fun. The only problem with this is it looks nice, but it's just not going to go anywhere. So I don't know, say knight d7, you try to keep going with f4. It's going to be really hard to get in e5 here. And even if you do, it's not the end of the world for black. Black could just kind of ignore it even. And meanwhile, with the absence of this knight on c3, black's gonna have much easier time getting his Benoni-ish counterplay. So already something like a6, b5, and something like this, black's gonna crash through, and white's king will be a little open, and white's just gonna have no counterplay eventually. And these pawns are actually kind of bad. Like they're just not doing anything. They could become weak. E4 could be weak, C4 could be weak. So it's one of those things where you have a nice looking center, but there's just nothing you can do with it. And also, if you compare the pieces, like this knight on h4 is stuck, this bishop's pretty good, this bishop's not out yet. So definitely black's better. What we could do is, this guy's kind of short on squares right now. So if we could somehow maybe force a knight for a bishop, that would probably be good. So if we can preserve this guy and force him to take, we could open up this file and get a bishop pair. So bishop h3. And now white actually has a strong threat of knight g5. Takes, and this structure is going to be pretty bad. White gets a huge attack immediately. e4, queen comes to h5. So pretty much forces takes. And black sorta has a dilemma that he needs to fix. So if he plays d6, that's not gonna fix it. White's gonna play here and get this nice half-open file. This pawn is backwards. And it'll be pretty happy. It'll just pile up on this e-file, because black can never on-backward his pawn. You just take. So black says, alright, I need to solve that right away, while my pawn's still on d7, so he plays e5. Makes sense. Of course, white doesn't want to take, and then black's totally happy. So what do we want to do here for white? So this is kind of a critical moment. If we play casually, like, I don't know, rook b1, Black's gonna play f5, and this is gonna be good for him, because he's gonna kind of shut this guy out of the game for a long time. So if we try to fix our structure, play f4 now, Black plays there, and okay, you could still get rid of the double pawn, but it's hard to say if you achieved all that much. This bishop is still kind of locked out, and Black just doesn't have any problems. Knight can come around to f6, e4. He could still play on the queen side with b5 maybe at some point. So we gotta find cause problems before he's able to do that. So f4, but doesn't that just lose a pawn? Nobody's worried about the pawn, so takes, loses the pawn, right? And that's what he did, because we don't care. For a pawn, we get these monster bishops, this active rook, more space, and Black has a big problem here with his position, so plays bishop f6. So here's the key move. So what does Black want to do if it's Black's move? And what's Black's biggest problem here right now? And then White's move is easy. Yep, Pacific, that's right. So this guy is short on squares. And it really needs to get out. Gotta finish development. So knowing that, what do we do for White here? Well, it's got kind of two ways to get out, right? b6, knight d7, or knight a6, and like a knight c7 or something. So Karpov stops them both in one move. Yep, queen a4. So not only does it stop knight a6, but it also hits d7, which makes it harder to come out that way. So d6. And now next move again. How is Black gonna unravel here? You gotta ask. So if he can't get the knight out, the next best thing is to at least get the rook out. And maybe later get the knight out. So what's Black's plan here? Well, rook e1 is a natural move, but I'm gonna try to maybe do something. Like I'm gonna play a6, rook a7. At some point, I kind of want to play like queen c7 and knight d7 or something like that and be okay. Or like rook a7, rook e7. I'm still kind of holding the position up. b6 is a little weak, but maybe black's okay. So can we stop this plan of a6, rook a7? Papa. Queen b5. Maybe. Looks a bit funny though. I think maybe eventually I could do something like this. Queen here. And rook d8, knight d7. But same idea, Popeye. So maybe queen b5, bishop here. Takes. And I'm hoping to like blockade the dark square somehow. But yeah, I'd rather be white here for sure. Okay. So Karpov does kind of the same thing, only he makes it look nicer and he gets his rook out. Rook d3. So now if a6, just rook here, and black's kind of dead. Meanwhile, we're still threatening rook b1 and rook b6, and just because of rook on a8 spams. So black's got to kind of do something fast. And he comes up with a really nice move here. Oops, let me clear those arrows. So the main headache here are these bishops. So is there any way we can at least get one of those bishops out of there so we could play knight d7? Possibly both bishops out of there? Oh, bishop g5. Again, we could take, and take d6. That works out for white. Can't move that guy. If something like rook e8, probably just rook d1 and can't stop rook b6, it looks like. So g5, almost pot pie. g5, Maybe, but it doesn't remove this guy. I think this is a key guy right now, because this is the one really stopping knight d7, and you're kind of making holes here. You win h5. Well, Harry C covered this game. Oh, come on. This is my game. So h5. We're gonna shut both bishops out in one move. So say this, g5, g4, both bishops go bye-bye, and knight d7, and black's up a pawn for nothing. He got his knight out, knight could come to e5, and he's pretty happy. So I bet you Larry C didn't see white's best move here. I bet you. We got a g4 from g-pack. Okay. Maybe now bishop g5 though. And if takes, I'm hitting g4, which is kind of annoying. So you don't, well, you could take, but it's not quite ideal because I take g4. Yeah, this is good for black, right? Takes. I got rid of my bad rook and I could just like come back and finish development. So good try though to keep the bishops where they are. So in the game, Karpov kind of gave up. He said, okay, I'm just going to play rook e1 and get something going on the e-file while you're chasing my bishops. So g5, rook here, takes and rook here. So it actually ended up being a big mess and was eventually a draw. I think it was b5. Because we need to get the queen out of the way. Queen b6.
Check.
So white's down a piece, but he's totally fine because black's knight is pinned. He can never get that knight out. So I think it was takes, and I forgot here. But yeah, white's fine, but he didn't have any more than a draw. Yeah, the bishop came back around to cover the knight, and white kind of ran out of stuff to do. But anyway. So the next move is like the emphasis of prophylactics. We're gonna stop g5 in the craziest way possible. So anybody see it? Even Houdini doesn't see this move. You have to play through a couple moves and then Houdini will be like, oh yeah, White's winning. Bishop 8-6. Well, can I just play Rook E8? Nope. Definitely not BF5. Oh, it's crazy. Crazy like a fox. Gotcha, all fooled. It's King H1. So why King H1? Well, I guess Black's gonna play G5. Why not? You wasted time with this silly King H1 move, right? Yeah, but what's the point? Isn't Black just gonna play G5, G4? Yep. Rook G1. And also winning is this. Bishop F5. So, if Black doesn't take, he has no moves, right? I kept both my bishops on my happy squares. Black has no moves, so you gotta take. And And as it turns out, all the white's pieces are getting ready to just mate the guy. So, like, I don't know. And black still is in no shape to defend because he still can't get his knight out, still can't get his rook out. So I don't know, say king h1, king h8, rook here, push, and then we have the slingshot queen move, queen d1, queen h5, and that's GG. It's both Pacific. Yeah, I forgot which one is actually better, but pretty sure rook g1 is also quite good, but 5 is better because now black could play g4. And although I still like white because still can't play knight d7 because the d pawn's hanging. Yeah, Houdini said king h1 was retarded. Said like, oh, g5, black's better. But once you play bishop f5 or rook g1 and give it like a minute or two, it says white's winning. But yeah, this also looks pretty good for white. I'm gonna eventually undermine this pawn and kind of similar plan. h3 takes, bring the queen back around. Maybe bishop f1's better. Just so I could play e2 and hit g4. Actually, bishop g2. I'm gonna switch that because if you play here, I could take and play d6. Yeah, I don't remember all the analysis, but white wins. So y'all got trolled. Y'all got trolled. Yeah, really awesome idea, right? But it just kind of goes to show how like effective the thought process can be. Just control the game, stop all your opponent's plans, and a lot of times they'll just self-destruct. Well, not Timon, because he's pretty good at chess, but a lot of other people. Yeah, it's not so hard once you see the idea, but the whole thing is finding the idea, which is like near impossible. Because you just don't think of those moves. Sashi, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. Since it's Goyd's channel, I can't go crazy talking about that kind of stuff. If it was my channel, we could have a lengthy discussion there. So, let's see, okay. Well, I'll go a little more. Show you guys my honest truck game, because I owe Goyd my honest truck game. Be right back. Gotta find the score sheet. And back. Yeah, I might do another sleepy time chest later. At some point. Oh yeah, Timon was a beast. Okay, white against US's number 3, Alex Onishchuk. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Onishchuk. 46. 3 Castle. So what's the deal with 92? Good or bad? Or both? It's both, but I like it. Yep, stops the double pawns. At the same time, though, where's our bishop going? So we're gonna at least have to spend another move, either going to g3 or f4, which happen to be good squares. But yeah, main goal right now is to be able to retake with the knight after a3. So d5 makes the most sense here. e3 and bishop back. So of course black doesn't want to take because that just kind of glorifies my knight e2. So he says, okay, I'll keep my bishop. Now you're gonna lose time because your pieces are all on weird squares and your bishop's blocked in. So takes. So I mentioned knight e2, knight g3, knight f4, but there's a third way to get your stuff out. G3. And I really like the bishop here because it kind of, well, this structure on the king side is really flexible. We could play f3 e4 possibly, or like a h3 g4 and get play on the king side. Yeah, and it really kind of dampers black from ever playing c5, because just d5 is going to be a problem. And yeah, Pacific, in case I could sort of break up these pawns on the king side, like if I get in b5, have a good minority attack. So rook e8, here, c6. The downside though is at the moment this guy's just kind of dead. Just like hitting up against this strong pawn wall. Pawn chain. Bishop f8. So these moves make a whole lot of sense. Because when I play, well, if I play f3 to play e4, which would be really nice. Like, say he played a random move and I played e4, I'd be so happy here. Except he plays c5, and now this is just a complete liability that I played f3. I weakened my structure, I blocked my bishop, and he could just play c5. He's not worried about this isolated pawn anymore. So that'd be pretty good for black. Also, my other plan of getting something going on the king side, it's gonna be kind of tough with him controlling e4. So let me show you what I mean. So say he plays bishop here now, and I just try to do like a pawn storm here. He can actually just play bishop here. Looks kind of weird to give up the bishop like that, but he's maintaining control of this square, which is really important to stopping any kingside play for white. And keeping this pawn backwards. White really has nothing to attack now. Like, these pawns can start pushing, but black might also play c5 at some point now. So I think that would be okay for him. Though I thought about it for a long time. If he plays like here, then I'm pretty happy. I don't know, something like this. And now basically, because I control e4, I could play g5. So the horsey has to go to a bad square and then just like f4 and take tons of space. He has little counterplay. I'm just gonna keep pushing, and mate him. That's simple, folks. That's simple. But yeah, it's kind of neither side could do a whole lot in this position because he can't play c5 and I can't play e3, f3, e4, so it's a bit of like a stalemate. So, which forces me to do funky stuff like h3, g4, but I'm also opening up my king side too, so it's kind of double-edged. Like another example, say he plays a5, I play g4, he might just play here. Because after g4, again knight e4. And now if I take, my pawns are disconnected again. Like this f pawn's backwards and he's already threatening to take on g5, so I have to play here, but now it looks like, if anything, black's gonna have the king side attack. Like bishop's gonna come to here, he's gonna play f6. So I kind of played this strange b3 move. Just kind of seeing what he's gonna do. Because if he plays here, then there's kind of more incentive to do these f3, h3 things, just because I'm gonna get a tempo on the bishop. So maybe I could switch to f3, g4, because f3 controls e4, so something like this is doable. Threatening to trap the bishop, and also maybe knight f4. This looks like it would be good for white, I think. Here, yeah, bishop there, I can actually just win a piece now. And also, if he does nothing, I might just play a4 and get the bishop out on this diagonal. So knight a6. Oh, let me take one step back. So the other main plan here for white is to play b4, so I could play f3, e4 without having to worry about c5 and get a huge center. Also, like Pacific said, possibly a minority attack down the line. b5, a4, bishop a3, something like that. But right here, there's kind of a big problem with that plan. So what's the problem? When I play b4, I leave a weak square somewhere. Knight here. Followed by knight b6, knight c4. And it's pretty annoying. And there's like not a thing I can do about it. Like I can't even arrange my pieces to cover that square in any way. Unless I play knight b1, knight there, but that kind of seems silly at this point. Yep. So b3, knight a6. So now that he's committed his knight to a6 and also blocked his a pawn, because at b4 there's also a5 possible ideas, I play b4. So kind of weird. Play b3 and then play b4 and not just do it in one move, but I got him to play knight a6. So I sort of lost the tempo, but I gained 2 tempos, because if he wants to put the knight on c4, he has to go back. So here I was pretty happy. Knight here. So he says, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put my knight on c7, which can be a good square. And right now it's a good square because it controls b5, so he has a pretty big threat here. a5. And when he plays a5, I'd like to be able to play b5, because then my a pawn's going to be... If I don't play b5, I'm going to be stuck with some bad pawns. Like I have to take... Yeah, I don't want to just give up this bad a pawn and open his rook out. And like rook b1, it immediately runs in the bishop here, and that's no fun. No, no. Takes. So, knowing that a5 is going to happen, what do I got to do here for white? Can't go a4 because the b pawn's hanging. Queen b3, maybe. The only problem with that, though, is you might have to deal with a4. So what I mean is a5, b5, a4 now. It's a little uncomfortable, because if you take, black has nice pawn structure again. If queen goes somewhere, I don't know. It's possible. I don't like having my pawns separated like that, though. Maybe this. No, that's kind of stupid. I was thinking here and bishop here, but you just take. Oh yeah, queen b3 is playable. I did queen d3. So this photo is a little bit better of a square, but probably doesn't make too much difference. I'm also kind of supporting f3 e5 in case he does something weird. And I'm blocking this diagonal from the bishop. So it gives me an option of playing rook b1 if I want. Because if he ever plays here, I could just play f3. So b6. And the next move is kind of very forced. So threatening ba6, which would just kill me. Because if I play, I don't know, rook b1, ba6, queen goes back. He like sticks his bishop here. I can never play b5. And I'm just, I have targets now on the queen side. Like he's gonna get an a5 eventually and just be much better. Because I still don't have any play on the king side yet. So I'll have to play b5 myself. Takes. Yep. So I'm kind of happy here because I achieved my goal of the minority attack. I isolated this pawn and my structure is still pretty good. So takes. So if he tries to take advantage of this pin, it's just gonna be good for me. He can't do anything with it. And actually he's hurting himself because this bishop's kind of dead now. He never wants to take. And now this pawn's backward. I have the one dominating the two, and I could just continue on the queen side. So that'd be pretty good for white. So he doesn't want to do that. So he took, and I really thought he was gonna play a5 here. That seems like the way to go, right? Get this bishop on this diagonal where it's attacking like 10 pieces. And maybe put it on c4, and it's a game. Oh, good Lord. Why does this always happen when it's me talking? I get trolled so hard. I love it though. That's probably why. Anyway. So he played a 2700 move. Really deep idea. So the kind of the point is, if he plays a5, I have this move well, not here, but eventually. So say something like this. I have this move a4. And if I could like safely blockade, like get a knight to c3, knight to b5, he's gonna have two weak pawns to deal with. So he plays here. A really deep idea. Very Nimzovician. Overprotecting this guy. So it looks like just a crappy square for this bishop. I wouldn't want to be on a6. But you'll see in a couple moves how awesome this bishop becomes. Oh, knight c3. Why not, right? Got to pile up on d5. a6. Queen b2. b5. So again, this looks kind of strange to me. He's creating holes on the dark squares. So I think my plan's pretty simple now. I'd like to get this bishop to b4 and get this horsey somewhere, which I'm going to ask in a little bit. So bishop there, rook c1, and here's his point of this whole thing, rook c4. So why is this such a problem? Can't I just play bishop f1? And I'll have to go back? Yeah, he just leaves it there. So, queen d7. If I take, it's pretty much suicide. I'm getting mated very soon. He controls all the light squares on this whole diagonal, and all my pieces are stuck on the queen side. So that would be really bad. And it's annoying because I can never ever get rid of this rook. He's always gonna, if I trade it, it's gonna be similar. Like, so I played knight there, queen there. So again, if I trade, I'm not getting mated immediately, but this still is an amazing position. He still controls all the dark squares, and I just don't have any play. Like if I ever play a4, b4 comes, and he gets two connected passers, so I'm pretty much screwed there too. So it's sort of weird how this bishop looks bad, but it's totally facilitating this outpost on c4. So pretty cool, something I would never think of. So knight e2, because I want to eventually get this knight to some good dark squares, c5 or e5. If I get it to e5, then I could finally take the thing with my knight. Yeah, and also I'm still planning bishop b4 at some point, so knight e2, knight e4. Now if I go here, the move I'd like to do, it's actually kind of bad, because my b4 is going to be too weak. I'm going to have to be forced to trade here. Like rook b1, rook here. And then like this guy's going to fall if I don't trade. So I can't do that. So have to play bishop back. Because I actually don't want to lose this guy. Because it's going to have a good future if I can get it to b4. That's really the only thing going for me here is I just need to like get on those dark squares as soon as possible because I really can't do anything else. So queen d7, knight f4. But once I do that, I think I'm totally fine. I might even be better. That's kind of what happened. d6, knight d3, he doubles, and now finally bishop here. So it's kind of nice for me. His pieces are pretty active, but I don't have any weaknesses. This king size structure is really solid at the moment. So he plays here to maybe break it up a little bit and make room for his king. But I think I'm just fine. I could trade the bishops, play knight e5. So he's got a check. And what does black play here, guys? It's sort of a simple move, but it's quite important. Well, rook c4, I think now I could take. And, maybe. I don't think black gets enough though, but it's possible. Maybe I could take here and then take here. As long as this pawn isn't gonna kill me, I think I'm good here. H4. Well, really, the key battle right now is for the C file. So when you're fighting for a file, what you need to do a lot of the time is attach your heavy pieces together. So when one guy captures, you can recapture with that piece and have the file. So if you play a move like h4, I'm going to take, play queen here and be better. Because I have the file now, I have options like taking this and playing queen c5. So right move here is rook c7. Has to attach to the queen. So when I take, he takes, he gets a file. So kind of the logical follow-up for me now is rook c2. Because to play rook c1. So queen c1. But there's kind of a problem with that because he could play f6. He can't go after my pawn. If he goes after my pawn, he's gonna get killed. Because my queen comes in and my knight's already causing trouble on f7. And he can't play bishop here because of check. But he could play here. And now all that stuff I worked for, getting that rook out of c4, is gonna be lost because I have to move the knight, and then he plays rook c4 again, and I cry. So that's kind of the main thing. It's all about the c file here. So really, if I want to stop f6, I need to play f3 myself. Knight has to go back, and then I'm happy for the time being because he can't play f6. So now maybe rook c2. But this is sort of what I missed when I was calculating this, is that when he takes and takes here, now the difference is he could just take this for check, and I don't have time for queen c7, so I can't do that anymore. So I kind of got sad and played not the most challenging move. I played here. So I don't know what an engine would say. I haven't looked at this with an engine, but the most challenging move is probably bishop here, because it stops his idea of just playing knight d7 and trading the knights, and also bishop c8. So yeah, bishop f1 makes sense too. That's actually what I did. But yeah, we have to use this bishop that's not doing anything right now. But I like this one better now that I think about it, because his knight kind of has to find a different route to a good square. So maybe like knight e8 with the eventual idea of knight d6, knight c4. Yeah, it's a game, but I still think white's a little bit better. So yeah, bishop f1, knight here. And knight takes, queen takes. So here I try to get a little bit more. So if I play something like here to take the file, it actually doesn't work, because he could just play queen c8, and I'm one move too late. Also, he could just take even now and play queen c6. And this endgame isn't quite the best, because he could create a passed pawn like very quickly. And then I'd have to calculate if I could stop it or not, and that's just a pain in the ass. So I played rook here. So he's got to take, because now if he plays queen there, I could follow it up. So I'm kind of doing his own plan against him. I got rook c5, and yay! So he has to take. And here I thought I was better, but it's one of those positions where you look better, but you're not better. So, looks better, right? Because his bishop's technically bad. I have my pawns on dark squares. And I have a nice pass C pawn. So I figured maybe I could do something here. But my pawns are actually kind of weak. Like this, pretty much all of them. I'm not happy about this kingside structure. I have two pawns that can't protect each other. So if this pawn was, say, like on f2, then I could play this for a win all day. Like I could put my queen here, put my bishop here, so play h4. Yeah, white's much better in that case. But not to be. So he plays here. Queen here, queen here. Bishop here and queen here. So now I realize my big dilemma is I can't go off trying to make progress with the queen because e3 is hanging. So that means I have to protect e3. So the only way to do it is with this guy. But that runs into there. And I gotta go back. And he goes back. F5 or E6 doesn't really matter. Because he also has queen b1 ideas, so I pretty much have no moves. So king back, and then he played there, king back, then he played there, then he played there. And we repeated it for another 100 moves, and it was a draw.